I've been wanting to see this film for quite some time, based on the images and how much the likeness was in relations to Marilyn Monroe. I've been wanting to see Blonde for a while, and after seeing it, boy, do I have a lot to say. And I'm gonna give you my thoughts and review right after the jump. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Wow. So let's just jump right into it. Blonde is a 2 hour and 47-minute film from director Andrew Dominik, who has done the assassination of Jesse James. He's a New Zealand-born director, and I'm putting all this up there to kind of to sort of get to where the choices that are made for this film come from. Basically saying that he's not American born. I've been always told to say the positive things or the sweet things, lead with kindness first. So let me start there. Ana de Armas is a godsend. She is a phenomenal actress. There is a fearlessness that she goes through in this film that not many people, legends, have. She is doing everything that her director is asking her to do times 10 and is doing it on a way that, despite how I feel about the film as a whole, I cannot take my eyes off of her. Every scene that she's in, she is captivating. Every moment, every piece that she's asked to do, I cannot stop watching her. The only reason that I made it through this entire film is because of her. She is just a delight to watch, and I look forward to anything that she does in the future, not associated with Andrew Dominik. I also like that this movie does not follow the typical biopic formula. A lot of these biopics are very cut and paste, run of the mill. You take a celebrated musician, athlete, whatnot, show their poor, terrible, sometimes abusive upbringing. They get their chance. You see a montage, drugs, abuse happen, then they die. That's pretty much what all biopics, for the most part, go like. I love that Andrew has chosen to kind of do something different, and kudos to that. That said, what it gives us is more of a stream of conscience and a like fever dream as opposed to a linear story. Some may like that, some may not. I particularly like to have some type of context or something that brings every coalesce and brings everything together. This is just a stream of conscious, kind of what Marilyn would be thinking of the world as they see her, as opposed to what she's us actually looking at it, from like a bird's eye view. This is sort of her internal mental dialogue going through pieces of her life, and it's unfortunately taking all the painful pieces of her life, which I guess is something that someone would go through. It almost feels like what she's thinking about in the last moments of her life. In a way, that's kind of how this all feels. Um, but it is very difficult to watch. It is 2 hours and 47 minutes of all of the worst moments that Marilyn has ever gone through. And I think where I have a couple of problems with is one, not everything is based in fact. There's a lot of that's or surrounding pieces of fact, but then it gets embellished or even more angrily done than that actually happens. Yes, her mother suffered from a psychotic break, but her childhood, while she was in orphanages, it didn't happen until later in life. I don't necessarily believe that drowning happened. Like all of these things get embellished to points that we just keep watching trauma and trauma and trauma and trauma happen to Marilyn that does not make for a good film. We see all the abuse, rape, abortion, everything that is believed to be a part of Norma Jean slash Marilyn's life, but it is done in a heightened way, and then it is just all sort of pieced together that we're just watching pain for 2 hours and 47 minutes, which just doesn't make for a good product. despite how well Ana is performing and how well some of these shots are done. It just begins to become too much that the brain can't take that. Now, I get the whole, like, Andrew's concept is probably to say, hey, I'm going to take something that is shiny. Everybody believed how beautiful and everything and stunning, and she was the sex goddess of that time. I'm going to show you the underbelly of what she had to go through to get to that point. That is understandably the conceit of what he's doing. The problem is, one, it gets real dicey when you are a man trying to tell this story or you're directing the story. Now, the book writer was female, and the director is male, so then it feels very exploitive. It We have pieces that we're just watching Marilyn be Red Riding Hood and going from wolf to wolf to wolf to wolf, and there's never a point where she takes any onus or any power back for herself. And that is, while you can have that belief, you should still have a moment. There's factual moments where that's just not the case. Like, we've seen Marilyn's life where she maybe had been a damsel quite a bit, especially in that point in time, but she also had moments where she stood up for herself. And the question of whether or not she made this sexual being, Marilyn Monroe, to hide herself or to take power, or whether this was thrown upon her, you can play with that better than what this film gives us, just saying, let's just go beat you over the head with this. Like, there's a moment that's known in history, though, Marilyn sort of was upset with the pay gap that she was having, and she created her own production company and got money. That piece, just that glimmer of hope, or the glimmer of I'm taking some type of power back, is enough for me anyway to kind of make me feel better about this film for all the terrible things that we put her through. I also find it odd that we as a people, as the masses, only have seen Marilyn Monroe in a nude state in the photos that she took when she was in the calendar, and then Playboy subsequently bought those photos and put them on the cover when she became big. This film has Ana topless and naked a gajillion amount of times, and while she is a sex symbol, it feels very just dirty, and I don't know why we are exploiting the pain of Marilyn by then also exploiting Ana. And I know she's a grown woman, she's an actress, she chose this, and she said she felt comfortable, but it just feels kind of grimy to do that, to tell the story of another person who was always exploited and abused and everything. There doesn't seem to be a win in this. We're just watching a vicious cycle. So this movie just feels angry, hateful, and there isn't any tact to it. The NC-17 people come up with that rating. The NC-17 has nothing to really do with the sexual scenes, because I don't think they're that graphic. There's a threesome situation that happens, but I don't think that they're that graphic. But you're seeing blood. You visually basically come close to seeing an act of a blowjob done on screen. You open up and have like a regal abortion that we've seen. Like, this thing gets unnecessarily violent towards women consistently, and I think that's where there is a lot of kickback or pushback to this film, because I think the conceit of what Andrew is trying to do is smart. Like, hey, I'm going to take this beautiful thing that everybody loved, but show you how much pain and anguish she was going through. But I, as a man, probably shouldn't be telling this story, and I'm doing it in a way that is just demonstrative, hateful, and making it worse. There's no care or tact to telling the story. It's just like, I'm going to throw it all at you and beat you over the face with it, and you're going to appreciate it because I'm shooting it in such a fantastic art house film noir style of filming. It doesn't work. And so, performance, great. Will she be nominated? Maybe. But I don't know if enough people are going to watch this film or sit through this film or put this film as a category, like, hey, you need to watch this movie, because she is great in it. I just don't like anything that they have her doing. And so on my scale of Play It Again, Sam. Meh, I didn't mind that. Once is enough, or Give Me a Time Stone, so I never have to think about this film again. This falls into that. Give Me a Time Stone, so I never have to think about this film again. I don't know if I want any type of Marilyn bio. If this is sort of what this means we have to get out of this. Um, Anna's performance is fantastic, but I think this is a film that feels more centered on the anger and hate that happens towards Marilyn. And understandably, that's what Andrew is trying to invoke. He's trying to tell you that, hey, she went through pure hell, and this we're shining this big, beautiful creature that we all came to love had so much pain going in. And that's subsequently why she ended her life, or what is believed to be a suicide. Um, but he doesn't give us any relief or any moment to kind of like enjoy these quote unquote happy moments that she has in it. So we used to watch this fever dream of pain and never get to kind of take the moments where she as a woman does take some type of onus back. She's treated like meat. This is a very aggressive film, and I can see why anybody is who has any type of trauma that has happened, this is triggering. And anybody who hasn't had anything happen to them, this is a film that is just not going to help in telling your story, nor feel like you're doing an adequate enough job to actually get into the meats and potatoes of what these situations actually mean. What did you guys think about Blonde? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.